Linda was the communications director for Senator Kaine when he was the governor of Virginia. So I'm really glad that you're here because you have such personal experiences with the senator. First and foremost, you know, we've been discussing the sort of the fallout of this announcement and analyzing it. And we had some guests on earlier in the show who said, listen, he's not necessarily someone who's going to please the progressive voters, the ones who really wanted to see an Elizabeth Warren. But him being a centrist gives Hillary an opportunity to then really rally and get those young millennials, those folks who did want to see Elizabeth Warren. Are you seeing that sort of play out? And also, you know, you had so much time with him. You know, is this something that you predicted?
Well, I've got a couple of thoughts. So first off, I think it depends on which progressive you talk to. So on my own social media feed, whether we're talking about Facebook or Twitter, what I've actually seen is people being stunned at how much they liked and appreciated the Tim Kaine that they saw at the podium today. And I've had a number of people who are self-proclaimed dyed-in-the-wool Berniacs starting to come over to become Kainiacs. And so I think that the more that people hear from him, the more likely it is that the base, even the most ardent supporters among progressives, are really going to come over to his side. The other thing I would say is that what we saw today is how powerful of an asset Tim Kaine really can be when he's on the campaign trail. You heard Jennifer say that clearly Hillary Clinton is very, very comfortable when she's on stage with him. That was evident today, just as it was last week. And I think that in itself and her ability to show a little bit more comfort and her own authenticity is going to be powerful on the trail.
Okay, so from your experiences with him, how do you foresee him being deployed? We talked about his ability to speak Spanish. You talked about how the way he spoke today attracted people that you didn't necessarily initially thought would be attracted to him. So how do you foresee the Hillary Clinton team deploying him?
I expect they're going to deploy him as many places as they possibly can. You see that he's appealing. As you point out, he is completely bilingual and very, very comfortable speaking in both Spanish and in English. And that's not him putting on an act. That is who he has been since he was in his 20s. You know, he spent a year taking a break from Harvard Law School to become a missionary and run a technical school down in Honduras. And that is where, as he said today, in Spanish, actually, he learned the values of faith, family, and work. And that's the kind of message that I think resonates no matter what language it comes across in, and I think that you're going to see him everywhere. That said, Hillary Clinton has the incredible luxury of having a number of different very, very powerful surrogates that she's going to continue to deploy on the trail, including the president, Vice President Joe Biden, and Elizabeth Warren, Sherrod Brown, and Cory Booker, and many others who were discussed as potential vice presidential picks.
Do you think that he's going to be able to excite some of the young voters? I think before, it was an interview before she selected Tim Kaine, I think he was described as vanilla, and she said, I like that about him. But she may like that about him. Are the 18 to 25-year-olds going to like that about him?
You know, I heard somebody say a little bit earlier in reaction to the speech today that the breaking news is actually that Tim Kaine is not boring, because there was a ton of energy clearly in that room tonight or this afternoon, and people are clearly excited when they hear from him, and I think that the more that they do, the more excited people will be from all walks of life at every age.
There's some issues, and Leland had touched on it just a little bit when he was talking to Jennifer Griffin, where perhaps he's not necessarily completely in line with the DNC platform. He had talked about a little bit about abortion. Are we going to see him softening a little bit? Is that going to be an area where the Republicans are then going to be able to hit him and say, listen, you changed your position. First, you know, you were this, and now that you're on the Clinton team, you're this? You
know, everything I know about Tim Kaine and my entire experience of him is that he is one of the most principled people I've ever known in elected life or otherwise. And so he will always do what he thinks is right. There were many occasions that I was on the front lines with him and witnessed when he could have made a politically expedient decision, and he didn't. You heard him say today that one of the biggest lessons he took away in life was from his mother, when she told him, you can either be right or do right. And that is why he has the ethos that he does. He's always looking to do the right thing, and I expect that that's going to continue as well.
Okay, unfortunately we only have about 20 seconds left, but since you had so much time with him, is there anything about him that you wanted to share? Any personal narratives or any personal interpretations?
I think it is very, very telling that Tim Kaine treats the most junior staffers the same way he would treat the most senior staffers, and that whether you're talking to grassroots volunteers or high-dollar donors, everybody has the same reaction to him, which is he's so authentic, he's so real, and he hears me.
How do you think he's going to do?
I think he's going to do brilliant.
All right, Linda Tran, thank you so much for joining us. It's nice to have that insight in you to bring those personal experiences. Thank you so much. All right, when we come back, with all the recent terror attacks around the world, including